Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to Personal Ramblings. In this episode, yes, I wanted to talk about creating in silence. It's a post that I made last year, December. And it starts off with the quote: "The creative adult is the child who survived," from Ursula K. Le Guin. So, yeah, I'm just going to be talking about creating art that no one will see, or just creating without an audience, and just reflecting on my journey of creating music that nobody will hear. So I guess that's why I said creating in silence rather than art that no one will see, because I'm doing something that people hear. Anyway, to the point. So it starts off with me just facing my guitar. I try to play the lead guitar, and it sits across from me on my bed. And sometimes I just look at it and I'm kind of like, what's the point of practicing? No one will ever hear me play, so I may as well just never pick it up. And then I started thinking to myself, imagine if somebody came to me from the future and was like, nobody will ever hear your art, nobody will ever see your art. Would I still make it? And the thing is, I think the answer is yes, because even now, I post into the abyss, I continue to write songs, I continue to sing. And not because anybody is watching me or because I have an audience or anyone is listening, but because that's what brings me joy and peace of mind. So when I was younger, as a child, I didn't really care about the results of my work or the outcome of my work. If I decided I wanted to be an artist today, then I would draw, I would paint, and I would be an artist. If I wanted to be a mathematician, I would just sit down, put on some revision videos, and I would do maths. And there was no negative thoughts in my mind when I was younger about, oh, you're not good enough yet, or you'll never amount to anything, or you'll never make any money from this, so why are you trying to do it? I would just create for the joy of creating. And then again, because all of these thoughts and emotions are coming up from this period of graduate unemployment, but once I finished my master's and I was faced with I've started to call it the abyss of possibility. Abyss because it's kind of negative, but possibility because it's kind of positive. There's so many opportunities in front of me, but at the same time, there's nothing for me to do. It's a sort of like a weird in-betweenish. And this sort of period of time where it's just been me at home in my childhood bedroom still, it's sort of reignited the childlike curiosity that I had once towards art and creativity. And I have an interesting relationship with music, I would say. Growing up, I never really felt like I had a safe space to talk about how I felt, or there were many times where I felt misunderstood, so putting on my headphones was just a good way for me to block out sort of the noise of life, my own feelings, my own stress. And it was a refuge, but it was also sort of negative because when you don't allow yourself to feel things, it doesn't mean that the feeling goes away. It just becomes more deeply harbored inside of your heart and can manifest in pretty destructive ways, which it did. But that's for a different time. But as time has gone on, I realized that a more healthy way for me to engage with music is to go back to making it. Like, instead of using music to hide from my feelings, it's become sort of a way for me to express them. And even though, I post on TikTok, I post on YouTube, and it may be that nobody ever sees my work, I never hit stardom or whatever. I don't even want to be famous, but just in case, if nothing physical ever comes from my work apart from the fact that I've made it, I think I've come to the point where I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied with that, because this is what I enjoy. It's, instead of it being an income or a sort of a capitalist venture, it's a way for me to understand myself and the world and how I interact with the world, if that makes sense. And I'm not entirely sure what shifted my mindset towards creating art and creating music, but I do feel like the more that I turn to my guitar, the more that I turn to writing songs, the more that I turn to singing in times of overwhelm or stress, the more comforted I become and the less I care about who hears, but I just care about the fact that I'm making. And it almost feels like I'm building up a practice or a hobby or a passion by just showing up for myself, even if it doesn't amount to any sort of likes or follows. And I've never been good with consistency, doing something again and again over time. But for some reason, I think because I've started to associate the act of creating with the feeling of release or the feeling of relief, really, release and relief to us. Since that has become more associated with that feeling, it's almost like it's become a reflex for my body to turn to creating art. And I think it's nice that even in times of pain or uncertainty, or even in times of joy, I can now create something physical to like look back on or remember how I felt and to just release what I felt. And then I kind of think this is what art is meant to be for. It's to pour out what is inside of us, whether it be joy, anxiety, celebration, sadness, love, heartbreak, or boredom. We need to let these things out. So, going back to the quote from the start, being a creative adult is letting out what is inside just like a child would freely. And I think more of us need that, especially in this time where things are so rough with economic crises and genocides and everything wrong. And again, this isn't really meant to be anything educational or motivational. I just wanted to talk. So yeah, I love writing, I love speaking, I love singing, and I just love creating, I've found out. And I don't know where that will take me in life, but I like where it's taken me for now, how much I've learned about myself as a person. And yeah, the goings are tough, but I just hope maybe this will encourage somebody to create art of their own, or if you're creating anything or you relate to what I'm saying, feel free to comment or anything. But yeah, that's it for today's video.